I feel like busting loose. Busting loose.
Gotta get a horn song.
I'm trying to tell you, the slide and that trumpet. Welcome back to Sports Shop. D.L. Reese, K-Matt, Breathtaking One, Jay Fritz, MCs behind the glass. This not wins, it's good little bad little money, but it's appropriate to bring in Chuck Brown, the Godfather Go-Go, may he rest in peace. Because we're going to have a great conversation, deviate a little bit from the NFL conversation today, as we always do. We bring you a sports talk entertainment show. So we do everything, sports, entertainment, across the board. But we're proud to have a Raleigh native. I'm told she went to Broughton High School. Is that true?
Broughton High School.
You get to ask her.
Yeah, I am.
I wonder if is that downtown?
I think it is. Yeah, that's where all the golfers,
all
the golfers come out of some basketball players come out
the
of there.
Webb Simpsons.
Everybody, all them. Yeah, all them,
Yeah.
And some basketball players came out of there too, as well. But we're happy.
She's one of them.
She's one of them. And she's one of them. But she's evolved to some big and better things in management and things of the nature. Professional franchise is kind of big. We're talking about the Capital City Go-Go assistant general manager up in the studio with us for the first time, Amber Nichols. Amber, how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, wow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
So when Jasmine was talking about, like, wow, that's kind of cool. You've been from Raleigh. Just talking about. So you went to Broughton High School, then you played basketball in college. Talk about that a little bit.
So I went to Broughton and played there, and from there I got a scholarship to play at the University of Richmond in Virginia.
Yep.
So played at U of R for 4 years, and then after that I went and got my master's at the University of Georgia, and then made my way through the NBA.
Okay.
Go Dogs, huh?
Go Dogs.
We're not gonna hold that against you down at Athens.
So you was at with the hedges? Between the hedges?
Between the hedges
Oh,
on
yeah?
Saturdays in Athens. It's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what got you, because front office operations obviously different than being an athlete, so what got you on that track?
So when I was playing at Richmond, I also, on the side, worked in the athletic public relations department just to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in the NBA, I just didn't know in what capacity. So I started exploring different areas of the NBA, and then as I got to graduate school, I realized that I wanted to run a team. So
Wow.
I just started trying to make my way to that side.
So what has your journey been? I remember way back when you were with the Kings, and then tell us about how you went through the NBA.
So after graduate school, it's really hard to just hop into a front office. Usually you have to have like connections and stuff like that. So I took an alternate route. I jumped into ticket sales just to get into the NBA. And then once I got out to Sacramento, I was connected to Nancy Lieberman through her son. We played at Richmond together. And she was sort of my way into the basketball side. And then Kevin Eastman, who also played at the University of Richmond, was the VP of basketball operations for the Clippers at that time. And I was connected with him, and he sort of helped me get my jump start on the basketball side. And I've been over there ever since.
So you left the Kings and then went where?
I left the Kings, came back and interned with the Wizards for about a year and a half. And then from there, I moved to New York and interned with the National Basketball Players Association.
Wow.
And then from the PA is when I got my first job, full-time permanent job in basketball operations at the NBA League office in New York. And then after a year, the Wizards created the Capital City Go-Go, their NBA G League team. And there was a spot for me to come back and be director of basketball operations. And this previous August, I was promoted to assistant general manager.
Wow, and you heard her. She's assistant general manager for the Capital City Go-Go, Amber Nichols, who was rocking with us. So what does a job like that entails in terms of assistant GM?
So the main part of that job is talent evaluation, building your roster. So I actually just got back from Uruguay on Saturday scouting a few teams out there in South America. So we just want to, scout talent and bring them in and build a roster that can develop around the younger guys for the Wizards, because we'll get, some of their draft picks, some of their young guys on assignment that will be the basis of our team. And so we want to just build around that with talent.
Wow, we're talking with Amber Nichols, assistant GM for the Capital City Go-Go, which is the G League affiliate for the Washington Wizards. And, a lot of people listening to your story and then listen to some of the things that you do, and they kind of think about the league as they know it. What would probably be one of the things that's most surprising about the G League and association with the with the NBA that a lot of people probably wouldn't realize?
I would say the most surprising thing is people feel like the talent in the G League isn't really up to par.
Yeah.
But I want to say from a talent perspective, it's probably the second best league in basketball, in professional basketball.
Okay.
28 teams currently have affiliates, so we're waiting on Denver and Portland, and then we'll be a 30-team league. Each team will have their own affiliate, and hopefully at that point the players can unionize, and it'll raise the salary for some of the guys that are playing right now.
So right now, and you just said that you believe the G League is the second best league, but right now it hasn't really been the most attractive thing for players coming out of high school. I mean, we just saw with RJ Hampton, like, you know, foregoing college and going overseas. What is the strategy or the push to make G League or the Go-Go team more attractive for players coming out of high school?
So for players coming out of high school, the G League is tough because I think they don't want to get exposed because you're playing against NBA talent. Right. You're playing against NBA talent every night. So if you're coming out of high school and you're projected to be a top 10 draft pick and you play in the G League, it's going to be tough for you to maintain that draft status over the course of the season. And then it's not as appealing because you can go to Australia and play against not necessarily better talent and get paid just as much, you know, for playing in the G League. And then also in Australia, you can control what team you go to. There's like a free agency component to that. In the G League, if these guys that are signing select contracts sign in, they don't control what team they go to. So teams would just compete for that player. But for us at the Go-Go, what makes us attractive is we practice and play in the same facility that the Wizards play in. So they'll get seen by Wizards front office staff every day. They get to interact with some of the Wizards practice. They get to play and practice in an NBA facility every day. So from a training standpoint, they have, you know, high level stuff that they can, you know, work with every day. So it's pretty cool, and it's an advantage that we have that we try to attract some of the best guys. And
I can see how that could be an advantage because, like here in North Carolina, you know, you got Greensboro Swarm and you got the Hornets. Like an hour and a half, roughly an hour from each other, but playing in the same facility, living in the same place, that makes a big difference. We're talking to assistant GM Amber Nichols, who's rocking with us here on the Sports Shop for the first time, and looked fairly young. When you walked in, I was like, but she is like 18 years old. No, but you look fairly young. And my point is, I think it's unbelievable the position you're in with a professional franchise, assistant GM. How and of course as a role model for a lot of other people that look like you, same gender, to follow suit. How important is it for you to continue your quest and some of the things you want to do to the people that can follow you in your footsteps? It's
definitely an advantage for me, and special for me to be able to do this. I'm one of 2 females in this position right now.
Wow.
So being able to continue to climb and also encourage the next, you know, wave of young girls to be able to do this is something that I take, you know, very seriously. And I'm always open to speak with people, to speak with girls that, you know, don't know how to get their start because, like I said, I took an alternate route. I kind of just bet on myself. I didn't really have a connection to get in.
Wow.
So I'm definitely encouraging people to get on this side too, because a lot of people just don't know, you know, what this side entails and how to get on this side. I get a lot of like inquiries over social media, like, you know, how did you get into the basketball operations space? And I'm always trying to, you know, help people get in, either similar to how I did or just connecting them with people that they want to, you know.
Exactly.
Again, we're talking with Amber Nichols, the assistant GM of the Capital City Go-Go here on the Sports Shop. And just please tell us a little bit more about this special seminar that you attended in Las Vegas, if you will. Was it Larry Kuhn's Sports Business Classroom?
So when I was interning at the Players Association, my mentor was able to sponsor me to go to Larry Kuhn's Sports Business Classroom. And for those that aren't familiar with Larry Kuhn, he basically wrote the CBA FAQ. So, you know, the NBA is collectively bargained.
Yes.
So he basically wrote a version that the typical human can understand.
Okay.
So he hosts this sort of seminar in Las Vegas for people that are looking to break into the sports industry. And so I attended, and I majored in the salary cap. So I was able to, you know, go there, learn, you know, the intricacies of the salary cap, and then also sort of work under a trade deadline and sort of just, you know, go through mock things that will help me, you know, in my path of hopefully becoming a GM one day.
Well, we're talking with Amber Nichols, assistant general manager for the Capital City Go-Go, who was a G League affiliate to the Washington Wizards. And now, just listening to you talk about the role and what it's about, how closely do you work with the general managers and for the Wizards and like just kind of give us a day-to-day into the role and how closely you guys work together with the Wizards?
Sure. So Pop Spencer-Bonsu is our GM.
Mm-hmm.
He, played in the NBA for multiple teams. And then Tommy Shepard was just, appointed general manager of the Wizards. And both of those guys are really supportive. They put me, in situations to be able to speak up in, personnel meetings, to always, offer my opinion. And, they give me the platform to really try to succeed in this journey. For example, Tommy just, allowed me to go to Uruguay to scout. And that's not something that a lot of,
Yes.
at least my age or assistant GMs get to do. So just, putting me in those situations to learn. And like I said, I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. But I just try to, absorb, any information that I can and learn from those guys. Scott Schrader is also, an assistant GM. He's been in the G League for, 20 plus years. And so just picking the brains of those guys, watching how they operate, watching how, Tommy and Pops interact with the players, watching how they sort of hone in on their craft. They're watching basketball 24/7. So that's something that I try to adopt in my own day to day.
So when did you figure out that you fell in love with the business of basketball?
Probably my sophomore year of college. I tore my labrum, so I wasn't playing.
Right.
And so at that point, I was able to sort of take a step back and sort of get to know the other side. And I realized that it was something that I wanted to do. But as far as like putting a roster together, I just like watching basketball and figure out like what sort of personalities and what types of games go together to make teams successful. Like I like, sort of just looking at teams and how they're built and seeing like, well, what did this player add that made this team so much better?
Yes.
And that's what I became fascinated with, and that's why I wanted to become a general manager.
Wow. We're talking to Amber Nichols, who is the assistant general manager of the Capital City Go-Go's, and temporarily, because I think she's gonna be doing a whole lot of stuff.
Right?
Trust me,
And you just listening to her, everything about it is so inspiring.
Yes, it is though.
Yeah, but look out, Tommy.
Good look, Jay Fritz.
I didn't tell you.
Well, no, hey, trust me, it's
coming.
It's a chicken down the street. You can go help out down the shop. It's just me.
Yes, it's
it's just me. Okay.
Well, if that's the case, I got some bread and some fish I need you to work on too. Work some miracles on that too.
Amber, the last question I have for you is who has inspired you? Who has kind of helped get you to where you are? I mean, we know in this industry that it's not just anything that you're doing on your own. You obviously have to have a supportive team, family members, and other people like that help you. Who are those people
that inspire me? Well, definitely my mom. My mom is probably my parents are probably my biggest inspiration. My mom sacrificed a lot for me to get where I am. Like, in this industry, you have to be ready to move at any point, just to, sacrifice your dreams. And so moving from Sacramento back to this side of the country, it takes, a lot of support, both like financially and, moral support.
A lot of money, I know that's right.
So, leaving a job to go to an internship and just having her support and sort of her just believing in my vision, the whole time has been, big for me. And then there's also, women in the industry that I look up to. Allison Feaster, is somebody that I worked with at the league, and she's been like a big sister to me. She was just named director of player development for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I saw that.
So just, those people I'm in constant contact with every day because, iron sharpens iron.
Right.
And, I just, always want to learn, from people that are around me and just, try to get better.
Are you reminded that you are one of few in the league as far as being a woman, a black woman?
There are times where I'm like, yeah, like there was, times where, we walked in, draft meetings and, I'm not just the only woman, like I'm the only person under 26, 28, I'm 27. So I'm just, always reminded in those scenarios. And, I just thank God because, I wouldn't have made it without him.
Yeah.
But just being in those rooms is definitely something that encourages me to keep going and, hopefully one day I'll, be back here as a general manager of an
Oh,
NBA
you will.
team.
You will.
Don't forget about us now.
Don't forget, but don't
big gamers.
Don't be big gamers like, oh yeah, I think I remember you. Yeah,
Like-
okay. That's why I took a picture, so I'm gonna remind you. You was in our studio. Here, this picture's right here.
Like, not a problem. Make sure they get on my calendar. Wow.
K-Man, she come big time. I see it coming.
I would never.
Oh,
never do
no,
that.
no.
Believe
Never
me,
do that.
we'll get to make sure they get on my calendar. It's like, what? Make sure they. What does that mean? It's like, oh, okay.
Sports shop, who?
Exactly.
With cheese and K-Wax.
Exactly.
Hey, Sheezy just called you